big company and you have a lot more layers of bureaucracy to make it through, you can't be as nimble. But when you're small, you can make a change like that. You can drop that price, you can add that product. And that can be a huge competitive advantage over some of your more established competitors in the beginning.
I completely agree. I think customer service is everything, and product market fit is really key to success, especially for early stage companies. If you really master that, it gives you a huge competitive edge because, like you said, it takes you probably 30 minutes to pivot. It would take another company probably 3 months. So it is a big plus.
Exactly.
Great. Well, let me ask you a couple other questions. And so this is a new area. I'm going to ask you to imagine you could wave a magic wand, and if you could, what one thing that drives you crazy do you wish that someone would find a solution for that, if they did, would really help your productivity and or your sanity?
What a good question. So the big thing that's keeping me up at night is customer acquisition. Of course, thinking about how do I get traction? How do I grow? So if someone could wave a magic wand and make advertising less expensive, I would jump on board and give them free wine.
Okay. I think you're going to get some calls.
Yes, please.
I think you're definitely going to get some. So to talk a little bit more about that, because I would imagine that our listeners, listen, that's something that we all need, right? Customer acquisition. Without it, you don't have a business. So can you dig a little deeper on that?
Sure. So I have been thinking about, okay, we're coming into a period where I'm going to be trying to get a lot of sales, right? And so I've looked at and researched all of the different avenues that I could go down to acquire customers. And you have to be mindful of that cost of acquisition because you can spend a lot of money doing a lot of things. But when you're just starting out, and especially bootstrapping like I am, you have to be methodical and you have to make sure that you're going to get a return on your investment, and that you're going to get the results that you want to achieve. So brand awareness is one thing, but conversions is a totally different thing. And conversions and customer acquisition is what I'm focused on. So I've looked at, what are some free solutions? Mm-hmm. I've been DMing potential customers. So people who fit my ideal target customer kind of fit. I've been sending people DMs and saying, hey, do you want to talk? Mm-hmm. And it's actually been working really well for me. People are interested in hearing what you've got to say. They're interested in helping to support small businesses. And so I've had some pretty good conversations so far. And I'm thinking that's a good way to, get conversions for free, especially being online. It's almost like you open your store for the day and you're talking to customers. So it feels a little bit more real too. But I've also looked at how do I create great content organically on social media so that when someone shows up, they immediately understand what I'm about and they can join my community where I can talk to them. So that's getting their email. That's, getting them, getting a follow on Instagram or Facebook. So these are some of the things that you can do for free. And I've been looking at what are some things that are paid and can I work that into the budget? So I've been looking at, advertising opportunities. I've been looking at influencer opportunities and, just kind of what are all of my options out there. And I found that the advertising just is really expensive to get ad placements, to get features, to get people to post about you. Mm-hmm. It really adds up. So for me, my research, it's kind of ranged anywhere from about 5,000 to even up to 60 or 75,000. And so as someone who's bootstrapping, probably not a wise investment when you aren't completely sure what your return will be, because they're promising you impressions and they're promising you clicks, but that doesn't promise you conversions. So your money might not be coming back to you. It might be a great brand awareness play, but it might not be a great return on investment.
Right. It's interesting that you say that because actually one of the first companies that I founded assesses fraud in social media, especially influencer fraud, and looks at fake impressions, fake clicks, fake followers, all of that.
Yeah.
Because, you end up spending a lot of money. You're absolutely right, in order to reach your audience. And then you don't always know whether you're going to get those conversions. And sometimes you don't know if people have actually been honestly acquiring those followers as well. So that's very interesting. And I agree with you that is a big issue, that we all have to cross that river in our path.
Yeah.
And I think one great way to address that, if you're lucky enough to get it, is great free press.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things that I didn't mention. I had been looking at who's been writing about wine, what angles can I pitch them, and sending just absolutely tons of emails. And so, I'm so fortunate to have some people responding to me, and actually some influencers have responded, and they're willing to post about you just for wine because they're interested in what you're doing and they want to support small business. And so I'm getting some great connections through press and through influencers, but you have to knock on a lot of doors.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a ton of work. So let me ask you an advice question. If there was an entrepreneur out there who's listening today, hopefully there's many, but if there was one who had a burning question and was just starting out, what one piece of advice would you give him or her that you wish somebody had told you when you were starting out?
Oh, what a good question. The one piece of advice. I mean, I feel like people have given me so much good advice. I think that one thing that I heard time and time again, and maybe I didn't take it to heart so much, it was really going back to what I'd been touching on it, and it's talking to your customers. If there's one thing that you do before you start your company, talk to potential customers. Once you start, keep talking, keep asking. And it can be really challenging too, because they might tell you that they don't like the path that you're going down, and they might tell you that it's too expensive, or they might share really good insights that, like for me, change your course of business and turn your idea into something that's even bigger than it ever was before. But, take that feedback, really, just keep a log of it. Write it down, hold on to that. And some things, be willing to be flexible, be willing to listen, be willing to change. And sometimes, you will get advice that you don't want to implement. I've had some people, tell me that, I should do a 2-pack of wines or something like that. And that's just not the right fit, because it ends up, long story short, it's just not a good fit for me. And so sometimes you get advice and it doesn't work. Sometimes you get advice and it's the thing that you needed to hear. I share one example about how I didn't want to do a reds only pack, because personally for me, I believe that if I'm curating the wines for you, I want you to enjoy the wines that I chose, because I'm thinking about you and I'm thinking about what you're doing and I'm sharing information. And so these are wines that you can truly enjoy right now, and you should be expanding your palate because it's part of the experience of wine. But a friend said, well, what if someone wanted to pay you for a reds only pack? You wouldn't give it to them? And so I was like, well, of course I would. So then I added the reds only pack on my website. And, it's one of those things where if you listen to customers and you listen to feedback and, you're bold enough to implement it and ask those questions, and, because feedback hurts sometimes. But if you're bold enough to do it, it can really pay off.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great story and good advice, because it's true. You start a company, you have a vision for what that company will look like and what your product will look like. And then you get out there and you realize that some of your assumptions were all wrong. You've made it way too complicated. You're kind of approaching it from a good for you perspective as opposed to what does the customer want. And I think that is the beauty of being able to interface with your customers often and get that input and make those changes. Well, lastly, I wanted to obviously say that I think the ability to have wine and a product delivered to your home is, so great, especially during this time of the pandemic, and especially with the holidays around the corner. So as we wrap up, are there any special holiday offerings that you may want to mention to our listeners?
Absolutely. I am offering a try it for $99 subscription. So normally our subscriptions run $125 a month for 4 bottles of organic wines curated by yours truly. And but we are, for the holidays, offering you guys to try it for just $99.
And how many bottles did you say you get for that?
4.
4 bottles. Great. Okay. All right, listeners, there you go. Here's your shot to try it. Well, Rhonda, I want to thank you for being on Startup Hacks today. Your insights are so helpful. And if our listeners would like to reach out to you or learn more about your company or order wine, where should they go?
Please reach out if you guys are interested in learning more from me, or getting recommendations on wine too. I'm always good for that. So please find me at The Wine Party Co. on Instagram. So it's at The Wine Party Co. And also check out my website at www.thewinepartyco.com.
Got it. Okay, we need to remember that, thewinepartyco.com. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you again, and tune in next week for more Startup Hacks. We have another great show you won't want to miss on the secret female founder strategies that can save you time and money when building your business. This podcast is brought to you by Women Entrepreneurs Global, the first startup studio and digital do-it-yourself startup platform for women. For more information on our guests, this podcast, and many other female founder programs, please visit womenentrepreneurs.global. I'm your host, Fernanda Carapina. We'll see you next week.